Yeah, just for the people who haven't seen this particular film, okay, he's a manager of a baseball team, okay, and he is, I would say, our fraternity, a person who is good in statistics and data science, okay. And this film, I don't know, it got released some at least some 10 or 15 years back, okay. And in this particular film, they see like how the statistics can help this particular baseball team to go to greater heights. Okay, and this is what I understand from my friends in US is like this particular story is a real story, and people have used this particular technique. And over a point of time, our IPL team also have used it. I also hear like the Rajasthan team have used this widely, and they have figured out. Okay. What would be the let me understand what would be the mindset of a manager of a team to use data science. Okay, can anyone suggest what would be the reason why he wants data science help? You can unmute or you can chat, whichever is comfortable. Why data science would be required for this particular team manager, say the team manager of baseball? Any answers? You have to unmute your mic and speak. Can I have some answers, please? Am I audible?
Yeah, if you're asking the context of a particular movie, manager wanted to know statistically which all players he has to hire, the lowest amount he can pay. I think this budget. So they want to know what is the minimum budget they can and can win.
Yeah, great, Mr. Miraj. Though your voice is cracky, we are able to get the gist of it. Your point is at lowest cost, how I can build a team which can give me good results. Good results means it has to play, and at the same time it has to win, and only by winning the particular club will get paid for it, or they will get the revenue from it. Okay, so that is the business what is there in these kind of games. Though obviously games are played in right spread, but at the same time the team mix is not only based on the judgment of say the selectors. It is also based on statistics. That is what is the point in this particular film. Okay, so let me continue watching this particular snippet. Okay, so he is the manager and he is the data scientist whom he had hired. And this particular data scientist, he have seen him in another team, and he was working. And he, as a manager, he had lost one of the teammate who is, I would say, a star, but they were not able to retain him because he wants more money. So he had left the particular team and he had joined another team. Okay, so that is the problem what this manager has, and he had asked the data scientist to help him in building a dream at a lower cost. Okay, let me see what are the things he has done. Yeah, first and foremost is he was asking like, you are very fast. I have hired you only today, but you are already there in my office, and you have made yourself comfortable with the office setup and other things. Okay, see, this is the spirit what a data scientist should have. Okay, we have to have the ownership of the particular problem, and we have to always have in our mind like we have to give value for our customers, and we have to start our homework from the day we get this particular assignments in our mind. See, it is not like some XYZ profession where it is like time based. You come to that particular time, sit, and after that you start discussing with the people. Then you have the result after discussion. Your clients may not have that patient, and they will not appreciate it. Okay, we have to be like lawyers. Okay, lawyers are getting paid based on hours of their interaction with the customer. Okay, so but when the customer goes to that particular lawyer, the all the background of that particular case, everything he have gone through it through his assistant, and he might have gone through the case files by himself, and he will speak like he was almost standing there when that particular event has happened for which the legal action is taken. This is the first spread as a data scientist we need to have. Now let's continue watching. So here, if the audio is not clear, he have asked him to do only validation of 3 players, but he has done 47 players validation. Okay, see, this is another very important thing. The domain experts will give you some hint, okay, but it is our responsibility to redo it, or once again do it with multiple data set, and we have to give them the result. That is another important pride what an analyst have to have in his mind. Okay, so 3 he was asked by his boss, but he has done 47. Okay, that is what will be expected when you are working in that particular scenario.
Can you enable the captions? Close captions.
Audio is not clear.
Yeah. Okay. Just I want to show this particular thing to you, guys who join. Okay. Now you can see here. Overall, they are the selectors. You see here, they are the selectors. Always these selectors have some judgment in their mind, and they will make decisions like, okay, he is good, I have seen him, he is having a good personality, he is having good family, his family background, blah blah blah, and all. Okay, see, all these blah 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 people don't mind. Okay, but the statistician always speaks only about the data. He sees the data whatever matches he has played, okay, what is the impact? And then Billy, what he does is he gives the opportunity to the data scientist. You have seen here, this is the data scientist, right? So he now gives the his opinion. So the learned people are there around him, and after that there is a data scientist who relatively he is young or old. How many of you say like he is relatively new to the domain or old to the domain? Relatively new. How many of you relatively new? Raise your hands. Okay. Okay, I also raised my hand. Okay. So how many of you feel like he is old? Friends, see, kindly be interactive. Give your at least the chat. Okay, if you're not able to speak, I think maybe the audio is not so clear. Kindly use the chat function and give the answers. Chat function, you can find the chat function here. Click on the chat function. Okay, then you type whatever you want. I feel like the data scientist is new to the field. Yeah, relatively new. Yeah. Welcome, Kavipriya. Welcome, Satya. So, any other answer? Yeah, I think Mr. Miraj also says like he is relatively new. Okay, but very important, especially for the youngsters, whomever is here in this particular chat room. Okay, guys, quite old. Okay, maybe he is an uncle. I agree that, but compared to the people who are there sitting in this particular room, okay, he is relatively new. Okay, you can see here. He is having good tie, okay, blazer, and you can see here how many gray hairs, and you can see here how many gray hairs. Okay, so compared to the team in this particular picture, he is relatively new. You can also see, okay, you see how many old people are there, experienced people, okay, and now the boss, the top boss, Billy, asked the data scientist to give his opinion. See how nervous he is. Very important, all the youngsters here. If you want a seat in such a conference room with all the learned people, okay, in whatever domain you choose, it can be anything, it can be any domain, it can be in energy, it can be in marketing, it can be in call center or the BPO or handling, it can be anything. But only very important skill what you need is data science. You need this particular skill. Maybe this skill, maybe in my days, maybe when I'm young like you, people used to say like you go for a good English speaking course, okay, because English speaking is very important when we are doing the group discussions. Here, more than English, now that is becoming the status quo everywhere. Everyone is good in decent communication skills. Now, the next important, very important skill, what you need is the expertise in data science. At least you need the basics of data science. That is the very important key takeaway here. Second is this has been widely used not only in sports, which everyone is watching and we are making opinions out of it, but this has also been used in each and every day-to-day activity, like the recent COVID, how the Arogya Setu app was used, how this particular data was used by our data scientists, and they are making a good sense of it, and we are able to control this particular disease spread, okay, whereas even the developed nations were not able to do it. Okay, so this is what the power of data science is all about. And I'm glad like you all have volunteered for this. You all want to take this, and there are some the master students probably have joined here who are doing things in data science. You are on the right track, but very important is you need to have your skills honed, and you need to be multifaceted. That means you have to work in multiple domains. Okay, what we are trying to do in this particular lecture series is we will introduce you one of the very important energy industry in the world market, which is energy. Okay, just imagine without energy, if you have some, can you think about something in your home? It is not possible, right? So that is the very important thing. Okay, Nandakumar, you want to share your screen? I can see you are sharing your screen. Okay, if it is by mistake, then let me share the screen. Now let's go into the topic. Hope everyone is able to see the screen. Okay, and hope everyone is able to see the RStudio session. Okay, I assume like you all have already gone through the RStudio introductions. Okay, you have created an account. Okay, very simple. You have to just log in into your Google account and start it. Okay, that's all. Okay, nothing more you need. In our last sessions, what we did, I'm just creating a recap because there are a lot of people who have joined today. Okay, so this RStudio, which is that in the web, is having. I'm just refreshing my screen so that you can have a good look of it from the maybe the initial stage. Okay. So once I type my RStudio, okay, it lands into my home page. And in my home page, I can create some projects. Okay, I can create some projects. These are all my projects which I have created in the past. Okay? And I have created one workspace already called IAMP Session 8, and I'm using this particular workspace, okay, to take this particular session. Okay, and I have created one more inside the workspace. I have created a new project which is an intro to R Cloud, just to familiarize you. And today we are going to talk more about the exploratory data analysis, and we will talk about this. Okay, before going into that, I think most of the people who are already doing the masters in data science, you will know about this. But for the triple students who have joined, okay, I'm just introducing you to this particular very important methodology called the CRISP-DM framework. For any data science problem, this is the methodology everyone follows. It is called cross-industry reference standard process for data mining. Okay, so how this particular process will look like? I have just Googled it, and nothing much I have done. Okay, so how this particular cycle works is any data science problem, we have to start with the business understanding. After that, we have to understand what all the data available to make this particular understanding. You can see here it is a to and fro. From the business understanding, you have to go into the data, read the data, explore the data, then do, or I would say, improve your business understanding. That is very, very important. So when you are going for a new assignment, your assignment can be for education. Maybe tomorrow Byju's is asking you to analyze their data, or there can be some XYZ who is asking you to analyze the data. Know about their business to some extent and use the data and improve your knowledge on the business. Then once you have the understanding of the business and the data, go for data preparation. Why preparation is needed? Sometimes in the data there will be a lot of mismatches, there will be errors, typographical errors, all these things have to be taken out. Then you have to go into the modeling, then you evaluate your model, then deploy your model. When you are doing the evaluation, you will understand better about the business, and you once again your business knowledge will get increased. So this cycle has to be on and on. So it is an iterative process. Repeatedly, you have to do it. Through you have to do it. Okay. So that is what this particular CRISP-DM framework is all about. And this is general. Okay. You can use it for industrial data, IoT data. You can also use it for say you are analyzing the Uber or Ola kind of data, or it is for the food and beverage industry, or the online marketing tools, or say online shopping data set like the Amazon and other things. So whatever data set you are doing it, you have to follow this particular process religiously. And whomever have joined from industries, okay, you know Six Sigma methodologies, you know the plan, do, check, act methodology, or the quality circle methodology. If you just correlate with the Six Sigma, say define, measure, improve, control, analyze, and define, measure, define your problem, measure your data, okay, analyze that particular problem along with the measured data, then improve it and see the improvement, then do control, TMAC, define, measure, analyze, improve, and control. It is also very similar to the cycle what we are following here, but majority of the people are using this particular DM framework as the reference model whenever they are approaching a data science problem. Okay, so have that in mind. So now we have to understand the data. Okay, so for understanding the data, here we have taken a data set called MTCars. Okay, so what I will also do is I am just copying this and pasting inside the chat window. Okay. Inside the chat window, is there. Okay, you will receive it. Okay, so you can also practice along with me, or you can practice after some time. Okay, so let me explain about this particular environment quickly for the newcomers. Okay, this environment of RStudio is very similar to our desktop. Actually, you can also have this particular R installed in your laptop, and you can do it. We are using the cloud data set, cloud infrastructure, because many of them cannot install this particular I would say the software in their official laptops. That's why we are giving this particular sessions over cloud. Okay, in this particular cloud environment, you can see here like the menu bar. The same menu bar will be here, and you will have something in the top, which is the scripting area, where you can write the scripts. Okay, and whatever you are writing after a hash will not be executed by the program. Okay, so say I can write my name. Okay, that's something what I can do. And you can also write the commands. Okay, and this IDE, the development environment, is built in with some intelligence. So when you are typing, automatically it will complete your commands, so that it will be easy. You don't have to by heart all the commands and other things. Okay, so whenever you are calling something, for example, I am calling this data. Okay, what is data? It's a command, and what the data I am calling is MTCars. It's a data set. What I am calling it. Okay, what I have to do is I have to either click on this and click on run. Okay, this I can do it, or I click on this and press Control and Enter. Automatically it will get run. Okay, so when I am running this particular command, what happens is this data is coming inside my environment. You can see here now a data is appearing in my environment. So this is the command window where I am typing. Once I type, then the data is coming inside the command environment. Okay, now I can play with this particular data. Okay, let me close these things. So I can play with this particular data. I am just clicking on this particular data set. You can see here I am able to see the complete data. Okay, now you can also go through this particular data, but let me follow the cross industry standard process. Okay, CRISP DM framework. Okay, CRISP DM framework, and I'm sorry.
Shall we use RStudio, General RStudio installed in the laptop?
Exactly, sir. You can use it. You can use it. This is the same RStudio, but the RStudio in cloud. That's all. RStudio in cloud.
Okay. Sorry for the interruption. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. So now you have this particular data set, and you want to know more about this particular data. You just highlight it and press your F1 button, or you go to the help menu. Okay, then the data set is getting open, and you will also get an help information. You can see here you have a help information appearing in the bottom. Okay, what is this data? In the cross DM framework, the first and foremost is business understanding, right? Yeah, business understanding. So let me understand what this particular data set is and what is the business first of all. Okay, this data set in 1974 was generated by the Motor Trends US magazine. Okay, it is a magazine which has generated this particular data set. What this data set comprises of is it has 10 aspects of an automobile. So in an automobile, you will have the mileage, you will have number of years, you will have what is the HP, what is the displacement, all these things. Okay, and that particular data for 32 automobiles they have taken it. Okay, and these 10 aspects you can see here in the bottom. Okay, mileage, MPG is the short name for mileage or miles per gallon. Okay, CYL is the number of cylinders. Okay, DASP is the displacement, the cylinder displacement. Okay, HP is the horsepower. Okay, this is very similar. Like if you are having a scooty, it is having a less horsepower, but you are having say you what is the next thing? Maybe you have an 100 cc scooter, then it is then that cc what we are saying, that is the cubic centimeter, which is the volume of that particular cylinder. Okay, so that is the power. It equals to the power how much that particular automobile can give you. And there are some rear axle ratio and other aspects also here. Okay, now we know broadly what is this particular data, and in the bottom also they have given what is the nodes and other things. Okay, how to execute, how to go about this particular data. You can see here that they have already given some good. I would say some examples. Okay, so this is I would say like this is the best way of doing it. Just to show you that how to create a new script, I am just copying this. Okay, and I'm going to here. Okay, just below the files. Okay, I'm just clicking on the drop down menu, and you are having something called R script. I'm clicking on this particular R script. I can paste whatever I have noted down. Okay, there are other ways of doing it also. Okay, if you are very comfortable, if you want an R notebook, okay, you can also create this R notebook, which is another type of scripting, but that scripting is more intuitive, and this particular notebook will appear something like a web page, and you can have a good interaction with the data set, and you can see the results. You don't have to search where that particular data or where that particular file has gone, where the environment has gone. Everything will be available next to next. And majority of the Python kind of environments will have the same things, same kind of notebooks. Okay, Jupyter Notebook will also be very similar to this. If you want to migrate in future to Python, you can also use this. Okay, so there are different parts of it. One is comment. You can just freely type. Okay, you don't have to have the hash and other things. Okay, and you can also do the plotting. Let me show you what is that you can do it. Okay, plot cast. This is something automatically has come. Okay, what you can do is you have some tools here. Okay, one of the tool is say run this chunk. Okay, this is a programming chunk, and this chunk I am running it. So you run it automatically. In the bottom you will have the plots. Okay, the same command you can also use it in an environment like this. It is also possible. Okay, you enter it automatically. You will have something in the left. Okay, so you enter the command here. It will get executed in the console, and you will have the plot here. So here in the Markdown, in the notebook, what happens is you type the command automatically. In the bottom, you will have the result. So you don't have to go to and forth. And if you expand it something like this, then you can see here this gives everything to you. Okay, and you can also here do the things like okay, I'm taking the empty cars, okay, data here, okay, and it will also import the data. All these things it can do. Okay, so all these things it can do. Again, here also control enter is the command for you. Okay, so now let's go into the further things. Okay, so now you can also explore the data. Let me resize the window. So now you have the data set, and now we are resizing the data. And before that, let me go here. Okay. So what are all the things you can do? Okay. I'm just showing you. Okay. You can see here there is this particular data set, the empty cast, which we have already taken inside. Okay. And you can also create some statistics out of it from this particular data. Okay. What are all the statistics you can bring it? Okay, when you call this particular path, which is a command which is being used to explore the data. This is for exploring the data. There's a function here. Function F1, you can see here, it creates the scatter plot of all the matrix. Okay, so whatever data set is the 10 different variables, and the 11th variable could be the model of the things. Okay, so all these things, if you want to understand how this particular data is, you can use this particular pass command. Okay, and you go to the plot and you zoom this particular thing. Okay, and you can see what are all the things here. Okay, so let's see, you are having mileage, which is one of the variable, and mileage with respect to cylinders. Okay, here you can see cylinders in the bottom. Okay, with respect to cylinders, mileage is varying. For example, there are 4 number of cylinders, one variant, 6 number of cylinders, one more variant, and 8 number of variables, that is another variant. You can see here, this shows like, okay, how many data points or how the mileage is with respect to the number of cylinders. Okay. Similarly, you have displacement. Okay, displacement versus number of cylinders. You can see here, this is you can see 4 number of cylinders. Okay, 6 number of cylinders, 8 number of cylinders, and with respect to the displacement, the 8 number of cylinders, wherever the model is, the displacement is very high. Okay, so that is what you can find out just by exploring the data. Okay, and what you can do is, whenever you're writing a paper or something like that, report or something like that, just use this particular one line of code, and you can attach this particular image into your reports or in your papers. Okay, so this is how the command works. Okay, I will also copy and paste it, or you can find it in the examples also. And there are other plots like we have seen like how this particular correlation between the number of cylinders and mileage, or number of cylinders with this displacement is there. Okay, you can see here you have 4, 6, 8. These are the different levels in cylinders. Okay. Now you see here mileage. This is how it is varying. Displacement is how it is varying. Okay, that is what you can find out from this. What we are doing is we are splitting the one graph into a detailed one, so that you can view how the variance is happening. This is called exploratory data analysis. Well, when we are doing an exploratory data analysis, what happens is you can understand better the data. Okay, exploratory data analysis. Is called ED. So that is what you are doing it by these kind of commands. Now you have explored the data. Okay, now you have explored the data. Then you want to have a summary of that particular data. Okay, that is also possible, and you can have a summary of the data. And this is what we have seen in the starting plot the cars. That is also possible. Now I am just skipping this because these are all basics. Okay, many of you might grasp it very easily when you are going to multiple exercises when we are doing it. Okay, so let me go directly to some of the earlier discussion what we had. Okay, one way of exploring is with respect to the data set plotting it. Okay, another way of doing it is with respect to correlation. Okay, this we have discussed in our last classes. Okay, how the mileage and the horsepower is getting correlated. You can see here it is having an inverse correlation. That means when mileage is going high, then the HP is coming down. So if you have a powerful bike, then the mileage will be less. How much it is correlated? It is negatively correlated. First, with the minus, you get the answer like it is inversely correlated. How much it is getting inversely correlated? 0.77 is the value. That is a scale of 0 to 1. This is the proportionality of these two things. Okay, so that is what we are understanding from this inverse correlation. And you can also do the correlation as a plot. Okay, this is another HP versus weight. If the weight of the automobile is getting increased, automatically you need a high horsepower. At the same time, if the weight of the automobile is increased, then you need then the mileage of the particular vehicle will come down. Okay, the mileage of the vehicle will come down. That is, we know that. And let me understand numerically, because when we are talking about machine learning, when you are talking about analytics, you have to always convert your hypothesis into numbers. Okay, so the correlation between the MPG mileage and the weight is negative, first thing, and how much it is inversely correlated to a tune of 0.86 in a scale of 0 to 1. Okay, that is what this particular data or this particular figure gives us. Now, Next, another thing is how this particular correlation you can view it as a graph. Okay, this is another beautiful aspect of the statistics. What you can take out of it. Okay, called core plot. Okay, correlation plot. Okay, so library correlation plot. This is what you have to call, because all these commands sometimes in the library it will be very easy for you to call. Okay, that is the reason we are calling a library. One of the library used is the core plot library. That means you don't need good coding skills, or you don't have to be an expert in Python or Java to create these particular codes. You have to just use this particular libraries and get the result out. Okay, so library corporate, I'm inviting it, I'm taking this particular data into me, I'm finding the correlation of this particular data using this particular command called COR. Okay, COR data. That means whatever data I'm having, I'm seeing the correlation. Okay, then what I am doing it, whatever the correlations are being found, I'm creating a core plot. Okay, I'm creating a plot out of it. How the plot will look like? Yeah, this is how the plot will look like. Let me zoom it for you. You can see here the plot will look like, and this has a scale between 0 to 1. Okay, both on the positive side as well as the negative side. When it is going in the negative side, then it is inversely correlated. When it is going to the positive side, it is positively correlated. For example, mileage with respect to cylinder, it is negatively correlated. When the number of cylinders is high, then the mileage will come down. Or when the mileage is less, that means the number of cylinders are high. Okay, both ways you can write a statement of it. Now let me see if there are some correlation between AM. AM is auto or manual. If you are having automatic gear or you are having manual gear. Okay, so A is automatic. You know that when you are having an automatic gear, the mileage will be less. Okay, when you are having manual gear, the mileage will be good. Okay, so if you can see here, then 1 is the manual gear, 0 is the auto gear. When it is a manual, that is 1, you are getting a good mileage. Okay, so this is what you can find out when you are having the correlation between two data. Okay, now there are some other data sets which we can also use. Okay, one of the is yeah. So one of the data which I want to use now, you understood broadly about the exploratory data analysis, right? So now let me go into the energy related topic. Obviously, car is also a part of energy, but let me go into the energy related topic. One of the data set which I'm going to use here is a data set on smart home, or a home which is having I would say like the solar panel and other things. Okay, so this is the data set I'm going to use here. I have just imported the data. Let me see what is the data available. You can see here my data is having almost 1,19,000 rows of data and 23 variables. Okay, let me explore what is this particular variables. What are the different variables available? Okay. Let me see the column names. Okay, just you have to call column names is the command, and data. And what I will do is I cannot have all the 23 and I cannot digest it, right? So what either I can do is I can call how many numbers you need. Okay, so this is a matrix. Okay, data. See, just for the people who have joined or new to this particular platform. Okay, see what is a matrix? Matrix. You will have something like a rows and columns, right? Rows and columns. Okay, so this is a matrix. So now, when you are having a matrix, you can have either number, or this can be you can have a matrix of strings, or you can have a matrix of numbers. But you cannot have a matrix of both. Okay, you cannot have two different kind of variables in one matrix. Okay. Data frame, what is being used in R? Okay, are nothing but a matrix. But in this particular thing, you don't have any rule like you need only certain type of data to be stored in this particular data frame. It can be anything. Okay, you can have one column which can be a numerical data. You can have one more column, or which can be a string type of data. You can have one more which is a factor. That is also possible. Okay, that is the difference between a matrix and a data frame. Okay, so multiple type of data can be clubbed, okay, and managed. Okay, that is the data frame. In matrix, you can have only one type of data. Okay, can be only used. Okay, so now we have seen the dimension. Okay, let me explore the data further. Okay, so I have used one command called summary, which is a command. You know that summary is a very English word, right? The summary of what you have done is a summary of summary means whatever you have done during that particular period, you have to write a summary of it. Similarly, you are asking the summary of data. Okay, you can see here what are all the data set available, or what are all the different columns available. You can see here location. Location can be a character, right? Here it is like Brazil or Peru or Spain, like that. There will be the location here, and you have something called the date and time. Okay, so you have another column which shows the date and time, and you have another column which is the voltage in the solar panel. Okay, you have another column which is the current which is being generated in the solar panel, and you have one another which is the solar energy. How much is the energy it has produced? And you have okay. Any doubts? Amamat, any doubts? Okay, I don't know. Sorry for that. Okay, probably he unmuted it. Okay, so you can see here, this is the summary of the data, and you have solar voltage, current, energy, okay, and power. So this is 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so the if you see the number of columns, this is the first column, this is the second column, this is the third column. Okay, 3, 4, 5, 6. You want to only see how this particular data is. Okay, so what you have to do is use the same, but use a square bracket. Okay, use a square bracket and call say 3, 2, 6. Okay, so I am using this particular column. Okay, and I can see the summary of only the solar. Okay, if I need only solar to be seen here. Okay, this is possible, and you can also do it like if the name of the column is having something like solar, you display it. That is also possible, but I'm not going into those kind of complex commands and loops. Okay, let me explore it very simply. So we have the solar photovoltaic cell. What is the voltage of the array of a photovoltaic cell? How much is the current? How much is the energy? And how much is the power? Okay, so this is number one data I'm having here. But very important here is solar energy. It is like every minute, or maybe it will be like a how much is the energy. That means it is not the cumulative kWh reading. It is the current the reading at this particular timestamp minus the last reading from the last timestamp. Okay, that is the difference what they have given. That is why it is 3.2. Otherwise, it will be high. Okay, these are all the things which we have to understand. See, if the voltage and the current is something like this, how the energy can be only this much. Okay, when the power is also something like this, how the energy can be something like this. Okay, so this is what you have to put your domain expertise. Okay, if you are an electrical engineer, you can understand it. Okay, if not, then you have to just go through some of the Wikipedia post and you have to understand it. Okay, so now we have seen the solar voltage, current, energy, and power. Now see, STR is called the structure. Okay, you can have the structure of the data set. Okay, this is I would say like this will give a complete information of it. Okay, so it will say like what is the type and other things, but little confusing, and I always prefer summary, which is a good one. Now in this particular data set, I have something called time. Okay, so whenever you are dealing with time, it is always good to format the time. Okay, otherwise for analysis, the time will be a little misleading. Okay, a little misleading. That's why analysis of the time is very important. Now what I am doing is I am treating whatever time I have imported as strings. Okay, and I am giving a format. What is the format? you can see here, this is a package which is especially for date and time handling. Okay, Lubridate. Okay, you can also find some information about this particular package. This package is only for handling date and time. If you're having date and time as the column, you can use this Lubridate, which will do the format conversion. What is the format conversion I'm doing here? Whatever is the data, okay, I'm going to convert it into Y for years, M for month, D for day, underscore HMS. Okay, that is hour, minute, and second. Okay, let me see what is this particular command in the Lubri data package. This passes the date time with the year, month, day, hour, minute, and second components. Okay, so I'm formatting it. Now, when I have to format, okay, I have to type data and I have to use this particular dollar sign. After typing the dollar sign, whatever column names are available, it will be automatically displayed here. For me, I'm going to handle this particular date and time. I'm just clicking the date and time, and I am formatting it. Okay. Always in R, we will use this particular symbol as equal to, because equal to in R has a different meaning. So always use this lesser than and hyphen image symbols for instead of equal to. Okay, and I have to type the command YMD underscore. Okay, you can see there are a lot of formats available. I am using this format HMS. Okay, and I'm saying like, okay, data, okay, dollar, data. I don't have to type all these things. Okay, I will just select it. That's all. Just down arrow, answer. Okay, and then I am just converting. Okay, so this is what I am doing. You all got it? Okay, so now I have converted it. Now, after conversion, what all the things I can see? I want to see what is the minimum, that is the first data. Okay, you can see in 2015, December 2, starting from 00 hours 27 seconds till 2016, almost I would say like some 4 months of data is available. Okay, now when it is 4 months, I can also calculate some difference. Okay, I think it will be that. Okay, you can see here there is some good command like diff. Okay, diff. This is part of the base package. When it is base, that means it is base package. You don't need any other package for it. Okay. Diff time, difference in time between the date and time, which is the maximum minus minimum. Okay, this is what I'm seeing, and you can see here the time difference is 103.935 days. Okay, so you have a data of 103 days, which is the every minute how much is the solar voltage, how much is the solar current, how much is the power, and how much is the current. Okay, so we are going to only concentrate on this solar. Okay, later we will go to other things. Okay, so now I told you, right, you can also call the data set with respect to name. Okay, so this is the way how to do it. What I'm doing is I'm creating one variable called COLS. This is the name I'm giving it. This can be say solar calls. Okay, I can also do this. Okay, and I pass this particular name. Okay, solar power, solar voltage, solar energy, solar current into this particular variable, and I am using the same square bracket instead of typing 3 to 6 or 3 colon 6. We have used that particular command somewhere else, right? Where it is, okay. Instead of calling the same way, you can also call it like this. Instead of using 3 colon 6, you can use the variable which you have already passed in. Okay, this also will give the same result. You can see here, it will also give the same result. Now, let me plot the data and see how the data is. Okay, so library plot. Okay, so if it is saying like there is no package, then I have to install that package. So this is the command for installing the package. See, you don't have to worry about all these things. I will give you these commands, okay, in the chat window, end of the session. Then what you can do is you can use the command and practice it, okay. And when you are going for the next set of data set, you have to just modify certain areas to adapt it to the next data set. That's all, okay. You don't worry about the syntax. We are not planning here to become a computer science engineer and create some new packages. We are not into those things, okay. So now it's not available for this. Okay, no problem. We use this normal one. Okay, so let me plot the data. Okay, so when I have to plot, I am just using data dollar. Say I want solar voltage. Okay, I want to plot it. Okay, so I'm plotting it. Plotly is another good package. Maybe cloud is not allowing. Now, if I zoom, I'm having 100 days of data set. You see here, 100 days of data set. Can you analyze it? It will be very difficult. So, what we have to use? We have to use our numerical methods. Okay, so definite element method. So, split this particular data set into small things. Okay, so that we can handle it. So, what is the best way of doing it? Is take only one date of data. Only one date of data. So I am selecting here 2015 December 12th. That is the date I want to see all the data, because I cannot have something about this. Okay, I cannot digest it. Okay, so I am only calling this particular day. Okay, and I am taking the data from this particular date only. How to use it? I am creating some variable called sample. Okay, again calling the same data, okay, which we have imported, which contains all the things. Okay, and I am filtering. How I am filtering? I am using row comma column, right? So now I have to apply the filter not on columns. I have to use a row. Okay, you can see here. This is row comma column. That is the syntax of this particular square bracket filtering. Okay, so now if what I want to do is I want to apply the filter not on the columns, I want to apply the filter on the rows. So what I'm doing, I'm applying the filter here. After that, I am putting a comma, then I'm leaving it blank. That means all the columns I need, but I want to filter it only with respect to row. Okay, so that is what I have to do it. Some people will say like I can do it very easy in Excel. Yeah, you can do it in Excel, but this is very much needed, because R will give you good statistical tools for you. Okay, so now we are exploring the data. We are only going to see how the data is. That's all. Okay, so I am filtering the data. Now I have the sample data which contains December 12th date only. Now what I can do is same plot I am using. Okay, same plot I am using. Instead of plotting the complete data, I'm going to have only, instead of data, I'm just replacing the data with the sample. That's all. The name data with the sample. That's all. Okay. Now, if I see, okay, you can see here, it's a manageable amount of data, and I can make a, I would say something, right? Okay, in the morning when the sun rises, you are having the generation. After that, it is getting stable, and then it is getting down. Okay, this is what you can understand. So we, when we are having a very big problem, always split the problem into small and handle it. Okay, that is a good story. Maybe next session I will show that story also. Okay, now what I have done, I have splitted the data and then now exploring the data. Okay, so let me see box plot of the columns. That means box plot in the last session itself we have seen. Okay, this is one of the descriptive statistics which will give you the spread or the distribution of the data. Okay, and this will give you how the skewness is. You can see here the median is 0 and it is almost skewed on the I would say the right side. Okay, that means on the higher side it is more skewed. Okay, and it will also give you the whiskers, and you can see whether there is some abnormal data. All these things you can see. But can you make some sense out of it? Because what is the problem? Anyone can say why you are not able to make any sense out of this? You have the box plot here, right? You are not able to make any sense out of it. Any views why you are not able to do it? Any response? Friends, are you there?
No VDN.
Okay. Okay. Let me simplify the question. Okay. Now you have what I am doing is I am comparing two variables. One is the voltage and another is the energy. Okay. Another is the energy. Okay. I am comparing both the things. Okay. And I am creating a box plot like this. Okay. And the box plot has already come here. Okay. The data has already come here. You can see here. This is what is the first one we have called voltage. Okay, so voltage is between 0 to say some 200. Okay, but the energy is almost very not even 1. Okay, not even 1 or 2, something like that. Now let me simplify the thing. Okay, instead of having both the variables, I'm only using energy. What is the range of energy here? What is the range of energy, friends? What is the minimum and the maximum of energy? So what I have done now is I have plotted the energy, right? I have plotted the solar energy here, right? I have plotted the solar energy. Can you say like what is the minimum and what is the maximum? Or if a box plot is confusing you, let me plot it like this. This is nothing. This is your normal plot. Okay, normal plot. Just we are using the scatter plot. What is the minimum and what is the maximum? This is nothing but it's a series of data, right? I have just plotted it. That's all. Any answers?
0 and 0.09.
Yeah, 0 and 0.9. Okay. At the same time, I am plotting. At the same time, what I'm doing is I'm going to plot energy. Okay. Instead of energy, I'm going to change this as voltage. Now voltage is plotted. Can you now tell me what is the range of voltage here? Minimum is 0, right?
Yeah, 0.
Yeah. What is the maximum here?
Around 200, I think. 180 or something like that.
Wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. Now, when I am plotting both the things together, what happens is the scale of x, the scale of y is getting adjusted for the voltage. So it is 0 to 200, whereas my energy, the range itself, the minimum value is 0 and the maximum value is 0.8. So when you are having multiple different range of data, you will not be able to compare it. Okay, so what you have to do, what is that you have to do for before comparing the variables?
You have to normalize it or something, no?
Yes, you have to normalize. Okay, so normalize, that means you have to convert the data into either min-max normalization or many methods are there. Min-max is widely used. When you do the normalization, you will be able to see the data better. Okay, so this is what we have to understand. Now let me proceed. now there are a lot of packages I told. Okay, one of the package is Plot. There is one more package called Plotly, but I don't know. Plotly is not working here. Okay, in the cloud platform, but in your R Studio it will be working. In your desktop version, it will sure work. Okay, so what we are doing here is using the ggplot, which is a widely used library for plotting. Okay, let me export the data and see the data. Okay, see the data. Okay, so first is solar voltage. Okay, solar voltage. So this is the solar voltage. So at maybe at what time the voltage is picking up based on the irradiance, right? Okay, so the irradiance is somewhere here, maybe at the 6. Okay, after that the voltage is picking up. Okay, then it is stabilizing here, and then in the evening it is dropping. Okay, so we know like solar generation is based on how much is the irradiance, how much is the thing. Okay, now voltage is like this. Let me see the current. Current is proportional to what? Voltage is proportional to irradiance. Okay, current is proportional to
the load.
Yeah, yeah. Obviously, irradiance that is the source, but it is also proportional to the load. Okay, if you're not loading it and just only you are having irradiance, what to do? The solar panels will not flow any current. Okay, so the load is also very important. Okay, so so you can see there are a lot of variations based on the loading. Okay, and inverted trip, sometimes you can see here there is a inverted trip or something like that. That can also happen. Okay, so that is very important to understand. Now let me see how the power is. We all know like power is a product of voltage and current. Okay, and that is what is getting reflected here. Okay, and now we have energy also. Let me see energy. Energy, as I told you, this is the energy consumption which is instantaneous. Okay, so what we have to do is we have to do a cumulative energy consumption. Only then you can see the cumulative energy consumption. That is what we in the next graph what we are going to do. Okay, in the next graph you can see here this is the cumulative energy consumption. So maybe for that particular day, okay, at 6 o'clock, okay, when the voltage is or the irradiance is increasing, I started consuming the energy, and in the max energy is somewhere around this is 7.58. Okay, so somewhere around 8 kWh is what I have consumed on that particular day from this particular solar panel. Okay, this is what we understand from the data. Okay, so this is a very simple way of exploring the data. Okay, we are just exploring the data. Now, once we explore the data, what we have to do, we understood one day how the data would be. Then the same logic have to be applied for multiple days, and we have to do the exploration. That is what we have to do. Now, I want to pause here. Okay. And just understand from you if everything is clear or if I have to repeat somewhere something. Hello? Okay, so as discussed, I am copying this particular code. Okay, and pasting it in the chat. So I have plotted it. Probably you can copy and use it. Okay, copy and use it, and give a feedback if there are some questions. Next session we will understand what all the questions you are having, and later we will discuss on that. Now what the next thing what we are going to do, just as a caption, now we know like that the energy is not the cumulative energy, it is the sum of energy. So with that particular thing, first thing what I have to do is I have to calculate the cumulative energy for each and every day. Okay, I'm going to use some package called dplyr, okay, which is a good package which is being used for summarizing. Okay, then after summarizing, then I will explore the data further. Now, what is the typical, I would say, the requirement of this kind of analysis is whether my solar rooftop solar what I'm having or the solar panels what I'm having, whether it is adequate for my load. Okay, so if you see the data, okay, you are having two load actually, load 1 and load 2. There will be two loads. Okay, you can see here you are having load. Okay, load 1 and load 2. There are two loads which is connected to this particular solar panel, as well as you are also getting the energy from your EB. Okay. Now what we are going to do is we are going to see whether this particular generation is enough for catering to the need of this particular load. And when I'm saying that, we are also having an energy storage here, which is my battery. Okay, there is a battery also here. Okay. So the same battery I'm going to use, and with that I'm going to see how the things are. Okay, so this is what we are going to do. So today we have understood, I hope, like the need of expertise data analysis. First and foremost is why data analysis is a field which is being used by many people. It is not something new. It is being used very long. Statistics is the background for all these things. Now with the computing power and the availability of these kind of cloud infrastructure, where even a supercomputer is available for everyone to use, we are using the cloud infrastructure to digest a lot of data. One of the data set what we have taken is available online, which is I have pasted already the link in the chat window. You can use it, and this particular data is having 1 lakh number of rows. Okay, and it is having data more than 100 days. What all the data is available? I have a solar plant, I have a battery to store the energy, and I have an inverter, and that inverter is tied to two load. One is load 1 and another is load 2, and in I am going to have some prescriptive analysis of whether the generation of the solar plant is enough for carrying this particular load. Okay, so this is what I'm going to attempt. Probably the same hypothesis can be used, or this particular problem can be expanded to a this is a very small solar plant. You can also expand it to a very big industry also. Everywhere it is going to be the same type of data, same type of architecture, and you can also remove the battery and you can see if it is directly you are taking the data, so solar energy directly for the load, how it will be. All these things you can also do the analysis. So with this motivation, let me end this particular session, digest whatever we have discussed so far, get familiarize yourself to the RStudio Cloud as well as the RStudio Desktop. It is recommended, please install the RStudio Desktop in your laptop and do this particular exercise, as well as in cloud also you can do it, not a problem. Whenever you are opening your workspace or something like that, okay, always in your description or somewhere you mention about IAMP. Okay, so that what we can do is we can expand this particular cloud infrastructure to the other AutoML functionalities and other things which is also available from RStudio. We have applied for that. Probably we will get an yes from RStudio Cloud team, and we can use those kind of functionalities also. Otherwise, from desktop also you can do all these things, but cloud is a fancy word, and we also have to understand in cloud what are all the limitations for us. Okay, that is the reason we are taking it into term. Okay, so if there are some questions, you can ask me. Otherwise, we will call it a day.
Yeah, just one question. How do we get such data sets? I think I missed the initial part of your practical sessions.
Okay, this the MTCast dataset is already inbuilt in the RStudio itself. You don't have to worry about it. The new dataset, what I have told you that the dataset link already I have pasted in the chat window. You can use that particular link.
Yeah, that particular one I got, but can we get any other such dataset from the same website or something?
There are plenty of such datasets available. You have to just explore, sir.
Okay, on the same website?
Yeah, in the same website, as well as Kaggle is another place where you can see more datasets, especially industrial datasets.
Okay, Kaggle, huh?
Kaggle. Okay. The chat window. Hope you are able to see Kaggle.
Yeah.
Kaggle.
Okay, got it. Yeah. Thank you.
And there is one more repository called UCI. UCI. Okay, and there is NASA. It is also available. There are a lot of data sets.
Okay, thank you.
And for a few of you who haven't seen the earlier sessions, I don't know whether it will be very useful for you. But anyhow, we have a YouTube channel where all the recordings will also be updated. Okay, and you can also go through it if you miss it or if you have some technical problems in going. Okay. So any other questions? I can see Mr. Miraj is very active. He is asking questions. I want to have some questions maybe from Bannari Institute, who have come forward and organized this particular webinar. Some students from Bannari Institute, please. IEEE chapter. Come on, students. Nothing is wrong. Nothing is right. Please ask questions. That is the only way how we can improve.
Sir,
Yes, please go ahead.
sir, that cloud storage will be work in PC only, sir.
No, you can also use, this is cloud. You can also use it in your iPad or in your mobile phone. You can use it anywhere.
Okay, sir.
Yes, that's a good question. Probably if you're having a tablet or something and you want to use it, you can also use it. Not a problem. Any other questions?
Somu sir, very good presentation. Thank you.
Sir, what
Thank
is
you.
Kaggle UCA?
Yeah, Kaggle, UCA, or the competitions which happens in data science. Okay, you can see that is only I would say, like, if you want to learn more, you can go to Kaggle website and you can see what all the competitions happening, how people are working in data science. Okay, Kaggle.com. Just Google. I think there is one video which we have made on the Kaggle ASHRAE thing. Okay, probably maybe we can also see that maybe in our next class. Kaggle. Okay, just Google it. Yeah. Any other questions?
Participants, one small announcement. Thanks for joining. This video recording will be posted in the YouTube channel, which link has been shared. Okay, tomorrow you can expect the video. If you have any doubts or any clarification, you can contact us. Our numbers are also we have given in the chat box. Okay, we have a special community for data science. Interested can WhatsApp us. We can add you in that group. Okay, thank you.
Yeah, I think that is the best way of doing it. Okay, probably you can create a small WhatsApp group. Okay, maybe Gokul, can you paste that link to join the WhatsApp group link to join?
It might be a spam, so then it will be. Let them give a request. I'll add them in that group.
Yeah, that would also. Yeah, that's also nice.
Yeah,
Okay.
it might be get spammed. So just drop a message, your name, your organization. We'll add you in that group.
Yeah, yeah. And Gokul, can this be
the name?
Name and your
sir, and what? Fine, sir, fine.
Okay, Gokul, one suggestion. See, for example, BIT, I think they are joining in bulk, right? So they have an organization already, and with the IEEE society, they are joining. Probably you can have one coordinator from BIT who can add all the BIT students. And I don't know, Dr. Ilangovan is also here. If from Johnson's, if someone wants to join, they can also join. And Dr. Jawahar is also there. Probably from Karunya, if someone wants to join, they can also join. Probably you can add Professor Sundar and Professor Ilangovan and Professor Jawahar, and they can be admin for their own colleges.
Sure.
And others, as Gokul suggested, you can WhatsApp us. Not a problem.
The number is in the chat box. You can take that number and drop me a message. I'll add you in the group.
Sure, sir. Sure, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Okay.
Okay,
Thank you so
Bharat.
much.
Thank you so much.
Bye bye. Good night.